Hello and welcome to the Material Deep Dive. Now let's really get into it. Yes, we've talked about finishes and selections, but let's talk about finish and selections. About work triangles, cabinets, countertops, tile, and every other material you are thinking of and selection that you have to make at length. When I sold you on this course, I said you will know more about flooring than you ever wanted, and it's about to happen. Throughout this module, I will highlight flooring concerns for individual rooms and situations, but let's talk about flooring in general first and start narrowing it down. Like I have mentioned before, I like a hard surface through most of the house, but you really can do whatever you want. I lived in a house that had carpet in the kitchen, and remember shag in the bathroom? Whose idea was that? People did it, you can do whatever you want. So the first question is, where do you want hard or soft surfaces? Soft surfaces are almost always carpet of some sort. It's the same process as everything else. You go to the flooring showroom, bring your other samples, narrow it down to a few choices, take samples home, make a decision. I like to throw carpet on the floor and look at it from different angles. Rub the pile, the actual fibers of the carpet, this way and that. Some carpets look drastically different depending on which way they lay. The classic vacuum line effect. Do you like that look? Some people do. Some carpets look exactly the same either way. I like a carpet with a fleck. Some color variation helps hide dirt and general wear and tear. Most people pick carpet that is too light. Keep that in mind at the showroom. Maybe go a shade or two darker than you think. People are so afraid to go too dark that they almost always go too light. When looking at a sample board that shows all the colors a carpet comes in, try to select in the middle range, never at the very top or the very bottom. No one needs to try to keep white carpet clean. Unless that's the look you're going for, then obviously do what you want. Carpet is typically one of those things that you get what you pay for. A more expensive carpet does usually mean better fiber strength and more fibers per square inch. You can rub your hand across it and really dig your fingers in. If you can easily separate the carpet and kind of lay it down, that's exactly what it's going to do as it wears. If it's hard to dig in, it will hold itself up better over time. You can buy carpets as roll goods or tiles. Tiles are very common in the commercial world, but they are great for residential for the same reasons. You can lift them up and relay them. If a few are damaged, you can switch them out. Although, a note about that, the sun will affect every finish. So if you switch one square in the middle of a sunny room, it's not going to match anymore. If you add anything to your space 10 years later, even if it's the exact same stain or finish, it will look different. Materials age, fade, and patina over time. If you don't want to commit to a full room or you like to change things up regularly, a rug might be a better choice. I love rugs for the color and texture they bring to a space. Have fun with the selection. And if regular rugs aren't cutting it for some reason, you can also use carpet tiles to make custom rugs with companies like Floor, F-L-O-R, or you can have a large piece of carpet cut from roll goods and bound on all sides. This is a great option if you like the look of carpet or need a large or obscure size rug. Your carpet shop will order this and most often will bind it in-house. If not, they have it bound and then delivered to their shop. You pick the binding color and pretty much do whatever you want. If you want hard surfaces, now the choices really start coming in. LVT or luxury vinyl tile, sometimes just called vinyl tile or plank, click together floor, floating floor, it has a lot of names. This is an entirely man-made product that can look like anything, wood, tile, leather, whatever. It comes in tiles and in planks in various sizes. It can be installed as a floating floor, meaning it's not actually held down by anything, just the wall perimeter. It can be nailed down or direct glue. The method is usually decided by the product and your installer. When shopping LVT, you will typically be looking at large sample boards. Look at the small color samples to compare color tones, and then there's usually a picture to better show the scale of the pattern and what a large space looks like with that floor. Do not look at the color in the picture. And the spec should be written somewhere on the back. The style, the color, the wear layer, the installation. Things to look at are ways to narrow down your choices. So the color variation and size of the pattern. If you see colors that stand out or the repeats are really obvious, it will only get worse on an entire floor. If it already stands out and bothers you in a sample, this is not the one for you. The wear layer. Look for it on the actual sample and look up the information on the specs. 6 to 12 mil is standard for residential and 20 mil is standard for commercial. If you feel like you will really use and abuse your floors, find an option with the 20 mil wear layer. If you are pretty low impact, 6 to 12 is fine. You don't need to pay more for that 20 mil. Lay it down and look at the way the sun catches it. I like to see and feel some texture. It will look more real and hide some dust and small scratches better. Some have beveled edges to emphasize the plank or tile look, and some create an entirely smooth appearance with no seams. Both are fine, but they definitely have a different look. Stand on it. Take your shoes off. Make sure it feels good on your feet. Lightly scratch it or walk across it with heels, whatever you would do in your actual home. If you are an avid heel wearer and you purchase a floor that is slightly soft, you will see dimples across your floor forever. The price range is all over the place because there are so many variables. Source the floor that does everything you need and nothing extra. If you don't need a high-performing floor, don't get one. Buy from a reputable company with a good warranty. Make sure it has the appropriate wear layer and that it looks real or however you wanted it to look. Confirm that your installer likes the product or at least hasn't had any issues with it, because there are definitely some products that installers will not use and they will let you know. Linoleum, sometimes called roll goods or sheet goods, comes in a sheet. It's probably what you remember in a kitchen or bath from the 1970s and what most people are ripping up these days, but it's still a good product and has come a long way. It is used widely in healthcare because it has minimal seams, it's entirely waterproof, and it's easy to clean. The patterns are unlimited. It can look like stone, wood, or neon green, really whatever you want. It can be super thin or thick and cushy, and real linoleum is also made of natural materials. It's not the first material people think of, but it is a good option, especially if you're on a budget. Hardwood. So engineered hardwood has a beautiful hardwood veneer, as you can see up here. But it is engineered hardwood underneath, down here. It costs less than full hardwood floor and will fool most people, but it can only be sanded and refinished once. It is more expensive than LVT, but generally costs less than real hardwood. Functionally, this works the same as real hardwood. Hardwood is exactly what you think. It's a piece of wood, usually oak, maple, or walnut, that is tongue and grooved together on the floor. This is tongue and groove. This is the tongue. This is the groove. It's expensive, and it's for people who just really want that wood floor. It typically holds up and ages well, and it can be refinished 2 to 3 times in its lifetime. But again, you're going to pay for it. Concrete. So I personally love the look of acid-etched, honed concrete floor. And if I ever build a new house, this is what I'm putting throughout my whole space. It's typically one fabulous finish throughout a space, and you can use any mix of colors that you want. And it can have such an organic feel to it. But on that note, you have to trust your installer to produce the look that you are after. So make sure you are super clear, because there are no redos here. It gets sealed, so it's non-porous, and the patina is part of the charm, in my opinion. So if your floor cracks, it will show, and there's no hiding that. But to me, that's part of this look. You don't have to add color. It can be just the concrete color and then honed to whatever shininess you desire. I would say that's what this floor is, whereas this was acid etched with color on top, and probably this one as well. This on this side over here, you can see you can also do like a wood inlay. The sky is really the limit. You can get as wild as you want with this, and it depends on your imagination and the capabilities of your crew. Tile is an extremely versatile product, and you could pretty much tile anything. What I like about it, it's easy to clean, it's cool in warm weather, and can be heated for cold climates. There are a million options. Tile can look like anything. You can even have tile that looks like wood. You know exactly what you're getting into for the most part, and you can have a lot of fun and create a lot of change with just layout and grout choices. Just a note, these tips and suggestions can also be applied to wall tile as well. Tile can be stone or manufactured. If it's manufactured, it's ceramic or porcelain. There's not a huge difference between ceramic and porcelain, except that porcelain is slightly more water resistant. It is technically fired at a higher temperature and with a finer, more dense clay, so it is slightly more impervious to water. It's not a huge deal, so to me, you could really go either way, but some people are really particular. Natural stone tiles are usually slate, marble, granite, or travertine, but there really are all kinds of specialty tiles. If you use a manufactured tile, make sure it is a color through tile, or at least a similar base color. In really low cost tiles, sometimes the surface of the tile is dark, but the actual tile underneath is light colored. If you get a scratch or chip, it is going to stand out like crazy. When selecting a tile, look at the color variation and color undertones. If something tends toward a color that you don't like, or there are weird speckles that stand out to you, that will only get worse on your entire floor. And then stand on it. Make sure it's not slippery or too rough. You want to enjoy walking on it. Spill hard water on it and see how it dries, or try to scratch it a little bit and see how it wears. Some tile will hide everything, others not so much. There are so many sizes and shapes when it comes to tile. Squares and rectangles are the most common, but hexagons have become quite popular too. 12 by 12 and 12 by 24 inches are standard sizes for floor, but far from the only sizes. Wall tiles tend to be smaller, although they don't have to be. There really aren't a lot of hard and fast rules for tile. There's a lot of options and a lot of combinations, and you can pretty much do whatever you want. You are only limited by what you can imagine. One note after saying that, the larger the tile, the flatter your surface needs to be. Small tiles can weather the slight bumps in underlayment or minor foundation shifts from settling, while larger tiles are more prone to cracking. It's kind of a princess and the pea situation, and just something to be aware of. Mosaics are a fun way to add color and pattern to a space. They usually come on a 12-inch by 12-inch sheet, so they are not actually as intricate to install as they seem. And those floors that look like a variety of mismatched tiles, they come that way in a box. I just love them, and they can show so much personality. Think about layout. It can make a big difference. Just turning a basic subway tile on its side like this, crazy. There is so much you can do with a subway tile. If you want to do something funky like herringbone, for example, sticking with a more basic tile lets the pattern be the star. This can be a great way to save a little money too. Use a basic, inexpensive tile, but install it in a fun way, assuming the labor to install doesn't outweigh the material cost that you saved. Equally think about grout. This can totally change the look as well, and it's a selection people often forget about. Make it matching if you want it to go away. Make it contrasting if you want it to stand out. Make sure the grout color works with your other finishes. And know that grout will darken over time, so just plan on it. Do not put white grout on the floor and try to keep it clean. Just don't do that to yourself. There's a lot of flooring materials out there. You should have seen the flooring section of some of the material libraries that I've worked in. I am all about trying something different, but do your homework. Make sure you are comfortable with the company, the warranty, and the service that they provide. And most importantly, make sure you have an installer that you trust and who feels confident they can deliver what you are looking for. If you have that, you can pretty much do anything. Kitchen. What are you doing in your kitchen? Are you a master chef using all the burners and all the counter space, or are you a microwave queen? Crock pots, takeout, bake show contestant. What do you actually need for the things you like to do? You don't need a stand mixer cabinet and a marble counter if the most that you bake are those frozen pre-made cookie doughs. Nothing against them at all. I use them all the time. I just mean prioritize your space for what you actually like to do. Spend the money where it matters, and you will never regret those decisions, and just save everywhere else. Let's start with the appliances. If you have a lot of questions, again, go to an appliance showroom and ask them all your questions. That is what they're there for. Try the floor models. Have them explain all the options, why you might choose one over the other. They usually know about sales and rebates and which company have the best warranty and or customer service. If you buy your appliance through a showroom, they will typically help troubleshoot the install and provide support and service after the fact as well. Let's start with the refrigerator. I almost always recommend getting a 36-inch wide refrigerator or smaller. Any bigger and it won't fit through a standard door opening later when you might replace it. Unless you have a large opening somewhere, but most people don't. And some 36-inch fridges don't fit either. On a recent flip of my own, we had to completely disassemble the door and the frame, take the railing off the landing because it couldn't turn the corner, build a ramshackle goat ramp, and then my husband and I pushed, dragged, shoved the fridge through that front door. We were sweating profusely, literally dripping into my eyes. I couldn't see, but I couldn't stop pushing or it would fall. We hurt our backs, broke every wheel off our cart, and dented the side of the fridge when halfway up it rolled off the cart, dangerously close to a drop-off. The house was built into a hill and there were so many reasons we should have paid for delivery. If you have a difficult approach or if you are not strong, pay for the delivery because if they drop it, it's their fault. So anyway, if you want a unit larger than 36 inches, if you need a lot of fridge and freezer space, I would suggest 2 separate units. So it's a full-size fridge sitting next to a full-size freezer. But think about how much fridge and freezer space you actually need. Will there be a secondary fridge or freezer anywhere else? Do you have like a beer fridge in the garage or a wine fridge in the bar? Is there an extra fridge in the basement? Consider those things when you think about how much space you have in your kitchen. The doors are different as well. So if you want a single door that opens from left or right, just make sure that you have the swing clearance for that. If you have a tight kitchen, go for the French door or double door configuration. You can have the doors finished to look like cabinets so that you don't even see the fridge, or it could be the star of your kitchen. Think Smeg refrigerators. They can also be under the counter and in drawers. Fridges have come a long way in terms of design, amenities, and options. A lot of cabinet designs fully surround the refrigerator so it looks built in. I like this look, but make sure there is adequate ventilation at the back of the fridge. If you are building a new house, have your HVAC person put a vent back there. If you are remodeling, make sure there is at least an inch or 2 on each side of the fridge so that air can get back there. If it's too snug, it will cause a problem for you down the road. Also think about water lines and what amenities you want in your refrigerator as well. Ice and water in the door, ice in the freezer, water spout inside, full smart capabilities like a TV screen on the front, linked up to your grocery app, whatever. Refrigerators can do way more than just chill your beverages now. Range. Stove, stovetop, oven. People use these words kind of interchangeably and often quite incorrectly. It's not that big of a deal as most people do not know the correct words, but since we're here and that's my job, a range is the stovetop and oven combo. Most people are used to using these. The stove or stovetop is literally just the top cooking part. You might install this alone with a usable cabinet underneath. The oven is the enclosed heated box part. If you go with a stovetop, people usually install a wall oven. Most are 30 to 36 inches wide and there are typically cabinets on each side. So once you pick a size, you have to stick with it. You can go gas, electric, or induction, or a combination. Gas is typically the choice for serious cooks. The flame means instant heat and instant off. You have to have gas coming into your house, but other appliances might also run on gas. So your furnace, your water heater, and some clothes dryers even. If you already have those, it's no big deal to run a gas line to your range. If you don't have gas anywhere, it can be expensive to bring it in, just for the stove. Electric can be a coil or glass top. It takes a little longer to heat up and cool off, but it's easy to install. Plug it in and go. And it has a nice clean look. Induction uses an electromagnetic field to heat the pan. You have to have special pots and pans, but the heat moves directly to the pan, heating things faster and more efficiently, and the surface does not get hot. It does take some getting used to, but a lot of people really like this option. You can also get a combo. I personally use a gas cooktop with an electric oven, but it's an all-in-one unit. Wall ovens. You can have a single or a double. I can't say that a separate wall unit or range is better. It's really more about personal preference. So how many ovens would you like? Are you okay bending over, or would you rather have it at standing height? Do you host a lot of parties? The holidays? Elaborate meals where you're cooking multiple things at multiple temperatures at the same time? That is a good case for needing separate wall ovens. Wall ovens come in a variety of widths. Typically the cabinet is built to fit the rough size and then a trim kit is applied. This does give a nice finished look, but sometimes the trim kits are kind of excessive and gaudy, so make sure you like the trim kit. You can build the microwave into the wall oven cabinet as well, as you see in these two images. Microwave. And this is the trim kit. See how big that is? Kind of obnoxious. Sometimes it's nice to sort of line up all your appliances like they're doing. And over here, this is a built-in espresso maker and maybe a warming drawer or maybe a refrigerator drawer. They really do have everything these days. There's this comedian that I like who talks about that these are the good old days. And yeah, for real, these are the good old days. Your hood, the ventilation system over your stove. Sometimes it's a statement piece, sometimes it's purely functional, sometimes it's both, and sometimes it's a microwave. They are all fine. The hood is typically oversized from your range. If you went with a 36-inch range, you would purchase a 42-inch wide hood. A 30-inch range means a 36-inch wide hood. And it's usually 30 inches or higher between the stovetop and the bottom of a hood. It depends on the actual specs of the vent system that you're using. Your hood could vent out, meaning the vent pipe sucks the air away from the stove and pushes it outside. This vent pipe runs from the hood and out the side of your house or the roof, and it needs a somewhat direct route. This is the preferred method, but remember that pipe has to get out somewhere, and you will see it from the outside. It's not usually an issue, but it is good to be aware because sometimes, especially in remodels, there is just no good path for that vent pipe to get out. Your hood could also recirculate the air. This is like a microwave over the range or a cheaper hood, or if there's no way to vent your hood out. It sucks the air up and away from the stove and blows it out the top into the same room. It's just moving air around. This definitely works, but it's not as nice for smells or smoke. The hood could be a freestanding all-in-one unit that you buy as an appliance, something like this. Or you could purchase the actual vent, just the mechanical part, and have the hood or surround custom made in this situation. This is common if you are having your cabinet shop make your hood. Next is dishwashers. So I didn't make a slide for dishwashers because they're just really not that exciting. I love what they do. I grew up without a dishwasher, and washing dishes is my absolute least favorite duty, but they all kind of look the same. No one has ever asked me to make the dishwasher the star, although they should since, like I mentioned, #1 appliance for me. They are always 24 inches wide, so that's nice. You don't have to worry about that. And from a design standpoint, the biggest decisions are handle on the outside or not, buttons on the outside or top. You got this. Small appliances. In all of those beautiful inspiration kitchens, you never see small appliances sitting around. Where are they? We all have them, cluttering our counter space and our minds. And here's a little design secret. When you are staging a home for photos, you just move all that stuff. The toaster and the coffee pot were probably sitting in the living room during that picture. Just like judging your body against Instagram photos that have been edited, do not judge your home against a house that has been staged for photos. That is not real life. Do not beat yourself up that you don't have a perfectly clutter-free countertop. Most people don't. But you can plan for one, and we can design a kitchen with that in mind so that even on your busiest days, your spaces are super easy to use, keep clean, and or tidy up afterwards. Because we are looking at those inspirational images that don't show any small appliances sitting around, it's easy to forget about them when designing your kitchen. But since we live in the real world and we need quick and convenient access to our everyday things, we need to think about it. Where will the coffee pot go? The toaster, the blender, the rice cooker, stand mixer, whatever you like to have regular access to. And also think about those items. How often do you actually use them? Do they need to be out on the counter all the time or just quick access once in a while? Just because they are out now does not mean they need to be out in your new space. The microwave falls into this category a lot, although a lot of us use the microwave way more than any other appliance in our kitchen. I mentioned building it into a cabinet like the wall oven. You can also mount it over the range. That was a go-to for a long time, but I think we can do a little bit better than that now. People are finally building ample-sized pantries, and this is the perfect place for small appliances, in my opinion. Give yourself a countertop in there with electrical outlets, and now this becomes the clutter area, not your beautiful kitchen. And bonus, if you followed my advice earlier and put a door on your pantry without a window, you can just shut this door and not look at it. And even if your pantry is not a walk-in, but a large full-size cabinet, you can still put a microwave in there. Just make sure you have electrical installed inside. I have also put the microwave in base cabinetry to tuck it away. I had the cabinet shop leave an open box slightly larger than the average microwave, finished on the inside as well with an electrical outlet, so the microwave just sat in there. It didn't need a trim kit, and I could switch out the microwave whenever you want. This is a nice option if you want kids, someone in a wheelchair, or people who are just kind of short, like me, to be able to access the microwave easier. On that note, kids can then access the microwave easier. You have to weigh out the pros and cons on that one. Appliance garages are still a thing, although they are a lot better than they used to be. I do not recommend the old roll top door unless you want to look like you were from the 1980s. I prefer the look of a cabinet that comes all the way to the counter. Swings open or lift the door. Sometimes those doors even slide back. It can have a cabinet base, or it could just be sitting directly on your countertop, with outlets inside for small appliances, obviously, and then you slide the appliance out, use it, clean it, slide it back in, close the door. If you are an avid baker, stand mixer cabinets are pretty standard at most cabinet shops. It's a lower cabinet devoted solely to your stand mixer, so make sure you have the real estate for that within your cabinetry, but it is nice to get it off the counter. You open the drawer and a shelf lifts out that holds your mixer and you use it just right there. It's super handy, but if you don't really bake a lot, I would not waste an entire cabinet on this. Next are your cabinets. There are 3 ways to order cabinetry. The first is a local custom shop where they literally build the cabinets to order in their shop. You can get anything you want within the talents and capabilities of your cabinet maker and their shop. The second option is a semi-custom shop. These companies have showroom locations throughout an area and are run as dealers. The showroom helps you design your space using the set options that the company provides. They usually have a lot of options and finishes, but it is limited by what they have standard within their cabinet lines. Your cabinets are custom made on an assembly line in a factory, but they are built specific to your project and usually made in one batch so that all the finishes match. They are then trucked to your showroom for delivery or drop shipped directly to your site. The third option is stock cabinetry. These are pre-made cabinets, typically in a limited range of colors that are pumped out in a factory and waiting in a warehouse. You put together the pre-made options, and what they have is what they have. Nothing is made specifically for you. You'd find these at like Home Depot, IKEA, that sort of place. I listed them in order of my personal preference, but they all work and it depends on what's available in your area. If you have a custom shop that you get along with and is capable of all that you are asking for within your budget, use them. If not, go semi-custom. If that price is too high, then you go stock. So let's say you have a local custom shop you like and it has a nice showroom. Yes, walk around and check out all of the displays. If you find one that you absolutely love, well, that makes this entire process easier. You can literally say, make this display fit my kitchen, and boom, half the work is done. Or if you at least like aspects of a display, that is something to start with. If you are going semi-custom or stock, check out their catalogs and displays. The more prefab a company, the more displays and marketing they usually have. So that is a plus for this category. Some custom shops are so small that they don't have a showroom. They can do anything you want, but you have to provide the inspiration. Either way, you decide on a company and then you're ready to start planning your cabinetry. When you actually sit down with your cabinet designer, the first question will be framed or frameless, or Euro style. Framed cabinets look like if you took a 6-sided box and cut holes for the doors and drawers. You then attached the door frame to the front panel of the box and hinged it on the outside. Doors and drawers can be installed overlapping, where the door front overlaps the hole, or inset, where the door sits inside the hole. A frameless cabinet is like if you left the entire front off of the box and then attached the door to the inside of the cabinet. The door has a hidden hinge inside and the door covers all or part of the box frame. This typically has a cleaner, more contemporary feel. This decision is made first by the type of style you want. If you are going contemporary, then you're going frameless. If you're going super traditional, then you're going framed. After that, it's about the function. Do you like the hinge placement? Frameless technically gives you a little extra room to get things in and out because there's no face frame. Or pick your door style first and then pick whichever box style works with that door. Once you make this decision, it's not something people really think about again. I want to bring attention to this first question, not because framed or frameless is a big deal. It's really not. Either one is fine. I mention it because this question tends to blindside people. They walk in thinking they know what they want, and then the first question is something that they have no clue about. And it's almost always followed by a deer in the headlights look and the panic thoughts, I have no idea what I'm about to get into. How am I going to make any decisions? This is too much. Do not let this happen to you. It's not true, and you can do this. You don't need to know anything about cabinetry. That is why the cabinet designer is there. That's why you took this course. It's okay if they have to explain things and show examples. That's why you are at a showroom. Ask as many questions as you want. It is their job to make you feel comfortable with your decision and guide you down the right path. At that same time, you don't need to understand every aspect of the cabinetry and how it's built. It can be overwhelming, and if you don't care, don't fill your brain with that. You only have so much room. All you need to know is what you want in a kitchen, what you like, and how much you want to spend. They will work it out. That is their job, and they do it all the time. If you have the right cabinet designer, sometimes giving them a little bit more freedom can be a good thing. They have ideas and so much cabinet knowledge. It's totally okay to show them your inspiration, give them your floor plan, and let them run with it, at least for the first pass, and then tweak it from there. I recommend sticking with one style and using it throughout the entire house. Kitchen, bathrooms, laundry, wherever you have cabinetry. This keeps a similar feeling flowing and makes your next selections that much easier. You might think, oh, that's boring to have the same cabinetry everywhere. I will repeat this over and over. Your house will be built in layers, and not everything needs to be a wow moment. Choose where you want people's eye to go, and everything else needs to play second fiddle or background supporting roles. Is the cabinetry itself the star? Not usually. So on that note, some people will choose one style for the kitchen because it's the showstopper, and then a less expensive style for everything else. Totally normal. Or you could use the same style throughout, but alter the finish or accents. Maybe the kitchen is painted white and the rest is stained wood, or vice versa. Maybe swap in some glass on a few of the doors in the kitchen. That is just a matter of switching that center wood panel for glass. The rest of the door style is the same. Unless you have a flat door front, then obviously that won't work. And that leads me to the next big decision. Door styles. At a good cabinet shop, there will be a wall of door styles like I showed in that previous slide. But that's not even all of them, because almost every door is available in a huge variety of finishes. And then there are add-ons like glazes, glass inserts, knots, distressing. The possibilities are endless. So look at the style and the finish separately. Most of the time they are interchangeable. Most doors come in most finishes, with a few exceptions. Because you are mixing and matching, once you have it narrowed down to this style with that finish and or accents, most companies will make you a sample of your official door. It's the same idea behind painting swatches of paint on your wall. A little more work and confirming on the front end saves a lot of regret and money on the back end. Cabinets are expensive, and you need to know exactly what you are getting into and that you love everything about it. So back to that wall of doors. Pull down the samples of the styles and colors that speak to you. Touch them and compare them. Look at them under different lights. Eliminate any that you don't love. Walk around the displays and see if there are any similar to the door styles that you've selected, or find a display you like and then find that door style. Whatever your approach, it's nice to see a full build out in a style so you can really feel out the space and know if you like it or not. Think about the amount of cabinetry you will have and the size of your cabinet doors. Tall and skinny, or short and wide? Do you have a lot of uppers? Maybe no uppers at all. Do you have a large expanse of cupboards or hardly any? That intricate cabinet door seems cool until you line up 10 of them on a wall, and then it's overwhelming, way too much. Or maybe your kitchen is very simple and so you need some cabinet embellishments to dress it up. In my opinion, the more cupboards, the simpler the door style. But again, I am more of a minimalist. So if you are the type of person that more is more, go for it. Again, it is your house. Another aspect of the door style question is the overlap. Does the door create a large or tight reveal between the doors and around the cabinet? Again, how busy do you want them to look? Contemporary designs usually have a tighter reveal, creating a smoother, cleaner look. Traditional has a bigger reveal, creating more dimension and detail within the cabinetry. You can also swap glass into most door styles, especially upper cabinets. If you add glass, is it clear or decorative? Are you displaying something in there, or is it for a textural change? If you are displaying something, do you need lighting? If you want lighting, make sure to point this out to your electrician. If you are using decorative glass, there are a lot of options. Fully opaque, frosted, rain glass, bubble glass, there's frost patterns. You can have a lot of fun here, and the same glass can be swapped into some of your interior doors and interior window transoms if you have any of those. Like I mentioned before, most door styles come in most finishes. There are also layers of finish and accents that can be applied in addition. You will start with a general finish, which is a stain or paint applied to your cabinet, and then you continue to layer and customize from there. So let's go over some of those options. If you are going with stained wood cabinets, how much of the wood grain do you want to see? How much variation? Knots. Some people love and want to see the knots. For the next person, it's a defect. So decide which you are. Are you adding any distressing? Any wood can be distressed to look more rustic. This is a process where they literally take whips and chains to your cabinets. For real. They hit the wood with chains, hammers, make surface holes, whatever, in an effort to make the wood look more rustic. It's kind of a way around using reclaimed wood, but still getting that look. This is totally a personal preference, and it's usually done by an actual person, so you can request as much distressing as you would like. If you like more holes, less chain, or vice versa, you can call that out. I mean, I can't guarantee that you're going to get exactly what you want. It really is an artistic, organic process, but you can try. Glaze. This is a darker stain type finish that gets applied on top of your general finish and then is wiped off. It can be applied to both stain and paint. It darkens everything a little bit, but really sits in those grooves and crevices of your door style. It makes those details super dark and more apparent. It also adds a level of patina, kind of. This is something I would add if I was going more traditional, with a door style that had more details or insets. If you were using a flat front door, there would be nothing for the glaze to sit in and would be a waste. If you're going to have painted cabinets, you can also change the sheen of the cabinets. You can have a rustic finish on them, and you can add a glaze. Because semi-custom shops have more marketing and readily available images and options when it comes to finish options, sometimes I start here for inspiration and then I'll see if my custom shop can create something similar. And you can also have laminate cabinets, even from a custom shop. Most people think laminate is just for cost savings or stock cabinets, but sometimes laminate is exactly the look that you want, especially for a more contemporary kitchen. If you want a super shiny or metallic finish, laminate might be the best option. And there is nothing wrong with laminate in general. I also say this in the countertop section. It has come a long way and can look great. It's also an excellent cost-effective option. Let's talk accessories. There are some things that you can add into your cabinets. You don't have to, but these are some things to think about. Hinges and drawer glides. I always recommend soft close hinges and drawer glides because why not? They don't cost that much more and it eliminates that banging and slamming. Or if you are like me and never quite get those cabinet doors shut, self closers are a life/marriage saver. For all of you who have had that argument or have hit your head on an open cabinet door, you know what I'm talking about. Your cabinet door can also open vertically, lifting up, and these typically have a stay open hinge. Corner cabinet storage, there's a lot of solutions these days. Lazy Susans have come a long way. You can still get them, and there are options much better than what you grew up with, although there are a lot of bad options out there too. There are shelves that pull out and swivel, angled shelves, angled cabinets. Think about what you want to store in the cabinet and how you want to use it. Pan dividers. I like these a lot. These are the spacers installed in cabinets so that the large flat pans can be stored upright. Think sheet pans. A lot of people put these in the upper cabinet, especially above a wall oven or fridge, because you can still reach the bottom of the pan to pull it out. This is a great way to utilize those high cabinets, especially if you were on the shorter side like me. Spice racks. Where do you put those spices? You can have a spice rack built into your cabinet door, but you will lose that space in the actual cabinet. Not a big deal, but something to be aware of. There's lots of options here, and again, think about how you cook. Do you like your spices right at the stovetop or near your prep space? Do you use a lot of spices? Are they in large containers or small? A note about accessories. Not every solution needs to be provided from the cabinet shop. They have all the fancy dividers and storage solutions that can be built in or added into your cabinets, and they are great. They match the interior finish and they are made for that cabinet. But you will pay significantly more for these, and they only have certain options, and it's made for that cabinet, so there's no reusing it elsewhere in a few years. But it's also done and you don't have to think about it. Compare the options with storage solutions found at places like the Container Store. They have options that are beautiful down to purely utilitarian. I usually go this route as it gives you the flexibility to change your organization, and I personally like a different look. So I mentioned them before, but if you need organization ideas, follow accounts like The Home Edit, the KonMari method with Marie Kondo, the Container Store, IKEA. They know how to organize. Under cabinet lighting. This is typically installed under your cabinets to light the countertop as a form of task lighting. It's also a great night light. If you want this, tell your cabinet shop. They will usually add a slight extension piece to the bottom of your cabinet that will hide any lighting. People used to install puck lighting, which were small, round little discs that look like hockey pucks, or linear bulbs, but now you'll see that LED tape is usually used. It literally looks like a roll of tape with a tiny row of LEDs. Super easy, cuttable, it's great. Lighting has come so far. So make sure your electrician knows that you want to do this ahead of time so that he can wire correctly, but otherwise it's a pretty simple addition. Countertops. Typically, these are chosen at your cabinet shop, especially if you're using a laminate, quartz, solid surface, or other man-made option. There is usually a wall of samples to pick from, and then what you get is what you get, which is awesome. If you are going granite, marble, or other natural material, you might pick a general sample, but then you'll go to the slab yard to pick your actual slab. You know the drill. We talked about all this in the material selection process. So now let's really talk about those options. First up, laminate. This is your most affordable option, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with it. Laminate consists of plastic fused with craft paper and particle board. It comes in just about every pattern imaginable, solid colors, wood look, metal look, granite, crazy patterns, whatever you want. And the design work that has been done in this industry puts it right up there with the more expensive options. It's got great patterns and colors. You know exactly what you're getting. Stronger finishes and better edge and seam options than before, at a fraction of a cost. It is not heat resistant, but it is non-porous and easy to clean. The top finishing coat is water resistant, but it will not hold up well to standing water. Wipe down, no problem at all. It might not have the durability or feel of granite or quartz, but if you take care of it, it will last longer than you want. So if you don't have a big budget, you can absolutely do a lot with laminate. Things to think about when making the selection, and these thoughts apply to most countertop materials. Pay attention to the pattern size. This is a concern for any man-made product. They used to be kind of small, and that was a dead giveaway that it was a laminate or a man-made material. The pattern might be really interesting in the sample until you realize that the image size was only like 3 foot by 3 foot. Then all of a sudden, that cute little swirl that you loved is everywhere. Not so cute anymore. Luckily, that has been majorly updated, and it's not uncommon for the pattern size to be 8 to 10 feet long to accommodate the average island without repeating the same image. So perfect, you are back to just one cute little swirl. Seaming, and again, this is something for all countertop products. 12 feet is usually the largest sheet of laminate, so if your countertop run or your island is longer than that, there will be a seam. I try to keep my island smaller than the max size of the sheet to avoid this if possible. Seams can be done really well, but it's almost impossible not to see them in some way, so especially if it's right down the middle of an island. But if a big island is your goal, just know you might have to have a seam somewhere, especially if it's extra wide, and that's just something to take into consideration when looking at these materials. Edge profiles, again, something you have to think about for every countertop. Depending on the company you use, they will have different edge profiles, but they are usually a 90-degree edge, beveled edge, a rounded edge, and maybe some sort of more scrolly decorative option. In some, there will be a seam, although it's a lot better than it used to be, and there are options that are seamless, which is nice, although it's typically a rounded option. Finish. With some companies, a color or pattern might come in more than one finish. For example, matte, glossy, or texture. So if you like the pattern, check which finishes it comes in. That might be the missing tweak that you needed to really love that countertop. Common laminate companies include Wilson Art, Formica, Pionite, Arborite, and Nevamar. Solid surface is a great, non-porous color-through option. It has a sort of soft look and feel, and it can scratch, but because the finish is all the way through, you can sand or buff out most scratches. The sink can be made from the same material, and the seams are heat sealed together, making this a very hygienic and easy to clean option. There are no cracks or crevices for bacteria to hang out in. It's more expensive than laminate, but it is one of the more affordable solid countertop options. Popular brands are Corian, Avenite, Formica, Gibraltar, and Staron. Quartz is a man-made product made to look like granite or other natural materials. This is my favorite choice and also one of the more expensive options. You get the natural look of granite, except it doesn't vary. You get exactly what you see. And it has the added bonus of being non-porous, heat-resistant, and doesn't need to be sealed. It's kind of indestructible, almost. You will definitely pay more for this. It's in the realm of high-level granite. There are limitless color combinations since it's a man-made material. There are sparkles and metallics, dramatic veining, and large sizes available. I would use this material where you have the room to make a statement and you need it to hold up to wear and tear. The kitchen for sure, maybe the master bath, maybe even a powder room. It's expensive, so if you don't have a budget to do it everywhere, choose where it will take the most abuse and where it can make the biggest statement. Quartz can have a long lead time. I'm going to say this again because everyone forgets. The final measurement for countertops does not happen until the cabinets are in. If the quartz manufacturer said the countertop is a 3-week lead time, it's 3 weeks from that final measure. Common companies that you might use are Cambria, Caesarstone, Silestone, LG Viaterra, Korean Quartz, and Hanstone. There are plenty more, but these are the widely available and kind of industry standards. Natural stone, granite, and marble. Granite is the traditional high-end look that people have been reaching for years. It's a natural material with huge variation depending on where it is excavated. It might be a relatively local material. Mount Airy in North Carolina is nicknamed Granite City, or it might come from Italy. Real Carrara comes from Tuscany. International slabs are often stored within distribution centers in the U.S., but it's good to be aware if there are ever any European shutdowns, summer and winter holidays, they all affect lead times. Do not even try to reach someone in Italy in August. Natural stones are porous, meaning they will stain. I don't care what the salesperson says, if it's a light-colored natural stone and you spill a glass of red wine, it is going to leave a mark. They need to be sealed when they are installed, and then periodically again throughout the lifetime of the stone. Other than that, they are basically maintenance-free, heat-resistant, repairable, naturally beautiful. You'll be shopping at local stone or slab yards. The price of this material is all over the place, depending on which type of stone you select. It's usually organized in levels. The lower end is one of the cheaper materials that you can use. It's more expensive than laminate, but less than quartz, but it keeps going up and up and up from there. Soapstone. It's a natural stone that is quarried similar to above, but it has a much softer look and feel, thanks to the talc in the ground. Literally, it feels soft and buttery, and this is what draws a lot of people to it, but because of this, it is more prone to scratches. But that patina is also why a lot of people like soapstone. It ages beautifully, and it gives a warmer feel to the space. But you have to be prepared for it to age differently throughout the kitchen, and if you are looking for a beautiful all-over color, I would not use soapstone. This is a material for people who appreciate a lived-in, more wabi-sabi type of style. It's naturally a matte finish and can be oiled to enhance the finish, but that's not necessary. It does not need to be sealed. It's typically monochromatic in shades from whites to grays to blacks. There might be some blue or green undertones, but you won't find a lot of color in this selection. It does not come in large slabs, so it will have to be seamed together. Not a problem if you're using it in small areas of the countertop, but if you wanted it for an island, that could become an issue. There are plenty of products that look like soapstone, but are man-made. So if any of those things are going to check it off the list, I would look for a man-made version that looks like soapstone. Butcher block. It's made up of assembled wooden boards. It has a warm, natural feel, but it does require continuous maintenance. Different woods have different looks and feels. Hard rock maple is the overall best choice for butcher block, but you can also use cherry, walnut, and oak. The wood can also be constructed in different ways: edge, end, or blended. The finish depends on how you're going to use the countertop. If you are actually going to use it for food prep and as a cutting board, you will want it unsealed and then periodically rub an oil finish on it. If you are not using it this way, you can have it finished with a lacquer, but you're not going to use this as a cutting board then. That will totally ruin the finish. Wood ages, and you will see knife marks, nicks, dents, stains on this product. Only use this material if you like the way it patinas. The price varies depending on the wood species, finish, and construction, but I would put it above laminate but below granite price-wise. Concrete countertops have become very popular. You can find manufacturers who make them, or they're really not that hard to make yourself if you are moderately handy. We did our own, and I am still in love with them years later. They need to be sealed when installed, but they do not need to be resealed later. The sealer typically makes them non-porous. Concrete is super strong and impact resistant, but it can crack from the settling of the home or just because that's the nature of concrete. It can be fixed, but visually that crack's not going away. You might get dings and scratch if you really try hard enough. But if you are using this product, it's because you like that natural organic look and feel. Again, you buy it for the patina. If you want the look of concrete but not the natural variation and aging, there are a few quartz products that look like concrete but function like quartz, same as we mentioned in the soapstone section. Stainless steel has been popular in commercial kitchens for a long time, and with the rise of the industrial look, you can find them in residential now too. It's easy to clean if you clean things up right away. It is generally durable and extremely non-porous, but stainless steel is susceptible to acid staining if you leave something hanging out. It can scratch, and obviously it gets dings and dents. You'll also see fingerprints and water spots. Again, this is for a kitchen that doesn't mind looking like it gets used, and it's usually for more of a utilitarian look. If you want your countertops to stay perfect forever, this is not the choice for you. And there are more countertop options. You can be as creative as you want. These are just the most common, and a lot of the points that we discussed can be applied to any countertop situation. Let's talk about sinks. Top mounted. The sink is set into a countertop hole, and the top lid of the sink sits on top of the counter. This was the most common application in the past, usually a stainless steel sink and a laminate countertop. Undermount. The sink is set under the countertop, and the seam is caulked between the counter and the sink. This can be done with pretty much any countertop. This is undermounted. This is top mounted. Then integrated or seamless. If your countertop or sink are the same material and it is built as one, literally seamless, sometimes they are put together, but they are heat sealed together with no room for water to accumulate. This is typically a quartz or solid surface countertop, something like this. Next is the configuration. Is it one big sink, equally split in two, or a different ratio? Is there a drying rack? There are a few standard options that most people use, but there are actually a lot of different sink layouts and accessories. So just know that there's options and pick what's best for you. Let's talk about sink materials. Stainless steel sinks are the most common, lowest cost, and easy to maintain. They don't stain, they are heat resistant, and easy to clean. You know the drill. Most people are used to stainless steel sinks. They do come in other metallic finishes now too. I have yet to use one, so I can't speak to the durability of the finish, but it is out there. Composite granite or sill granite are sinks that look like stone. They blend nicely with stone-type countertops and are very durable. They are typically heat-resistant, non-porous, meaning non-staining, and impact-resistant, and they have a heavy-duty feel. Although they say non-porous, I usually go with a darker finish in case they do stain or darken with time. Although with the darker finish, hard water spots will show up more. So a nice medium tone with some color variation or fleck is usually your best. I like to pick the darkest color in my countertop and start there. A common brand is Blanco. Fire clay. If you are looking for a white sink that will stay white, this is the route to go. It's clay that is heated to such a high heat when formed that it is stain and heat proof. This is the sink you are probably looking at if you want a farmhouse style sink. It looks like porcelain, but it's a lot stronger. Enameled cast iron is also a great option for white and is the traditional farmhouse type sink. If you want to go authentic, these sinks are heavy. Make sure your cabinets and flooring can support it. Solid surface. This is the material to use if you want a truly seamless sink to countertop. Solid surface can scratch. It can be buffed out, but make sure you are okay with how it will wear and tear. Copper sinks. I've had this come up a few times and I do not recommend them. Copper is made to patina, so unless you like that aged look, do not use real copper. If you want a bright like a penny copper look, a copper sink will not stay that way. And that leads us to the bathrooms, one of the next big areas in your home. Let's start with the toilets. Let's talk toilets in general. You have flush options, regular and dual, meaning you have the option of a light flush for liquids or a larger flush for solids, water saving, and a power flush. You don't have to discuss why you need what you need in detail, but you know what you need and what your priorities are, so be honest with your selection. Toilets can have style too, so pay attention to the detailing of the tank, the overall shape, the handle, and how easy it is to clean. All those little things. Most people will make one selection and use it throughout the house, so make it a good one. Unless you want to upgrade to one of the fancy toilets. You probably don't want to put these everywhere because they are quite expensive, but they are nice. There are models with bidets, heated seats, feet warmers, dryers, music, lights. They can be self-cleaning, all controlled with a remote or hands-free. Whatever you want, you can get it. Sinks. The countertop in a bathroom can be any of the same options we discussed in the kitchen section. I would say solid surface, quartz, and granite are probably the most common. I have mentioned laminate before. You can definitely use laminate in a bathroom, but if you have a lot of standing water, it will fail quicker than other materials. You can also have a vessel sink, meaning the sink bowl sits on top of the countertop. You could have a pedestal sink, which is the complete sink unit on its own base. You can have a wall-mounted vanity. You can have a traditional cabinet. You can have a lot of fun in the bathroom. It comes down to how much space you have, how much storage you need, and how you want to use the space. I've already covered a lot of the materials that you could use in your shower and bath other than the prefab units, so here are just a few more that are specific to bathrooms. Solid surface showers have become popular, especially a brand called Onyx. It's kind of a step between acrylic prefab and a custom shower. It's nicer than the prefab, has more design options and customization, but at the end of the day, it is a panel system. It's typically a solid color, maybe with some flecks of other colors. It can have a pattern stamped on top to look like a subway tile or stone, and you can puzzle the pieces together to accommodate most spaces. It comes with pre-designed shelves and benches, edge pieces, and it's a nice upgrade from a standard pre-built shower, but it is limited in style and personalization. Let's talk about glass. Glass is often used in addition to other materials, although you could have an all-glass shower. Often it's a door or a dividing partition, and glass panels are typically installed with a U channel and held from the ceiling, floor, or wall, and or combination of all of those things. You want glass panels to be secure. They are super heavy and can crack if not supported correctly. Glass can be clear, or it can be textured, frosted, or obscured in many different ways. You can have some fun here. They have the same options as when we were discussing glass for cabinets and interior doors and windows. This time it's thicker and tempered, but you can typically get the same look. If you are designing your own shower, don't forget about the nooks and shelves for shampoo, soap, all that kind of stuff. Whatever you keep in the shower. I hate seeing a beautiful shower with stuff just sitting all over the place. These are great places for accent tile as well. Depending on how big your shower is, not all the walls will even get wet. In some of those areas, you can get away with applying materials that are just water resistant, like wood or water-treated drywall. There will be steam and general moisture around, but remember, in an average bathroom, most walls are drywall. Let's talk about the bathtub. There are different types of baths. An alcove bathtub is the kind most people are familiar with. It's made to fit within 3 walls and has one finished front. A drop-in is only finished on the inside and is surrounded on all sides by walls. You might call this a built-in. You can also have corner bathtubs in all kinds of crazy shapes, and a lot of these options come with jets and whirlpools and all the cool accessories. With freestanding bathtubs, you have more design options for the actual tub itself. Clawfoot, soaker, and slipper are all types of freestanding bathtubs. They can range in style from Victorian to farmhouse to uber modern, and some have feet and some are set directly on the floor. If you have a freestanding tub, the plumbing is different. You can have either a wall-mounted faucet or, more commonly, a floor-mounted tub filler. These are expensive. They are beautiful, and they usually come with a hand shower and definitely lend to the fun and look of a freestanding tub, but you will pay for it. Do not put a freestanding tub in just for the looks. It is way too expensive for that. I am a bath person. I do not understand why people have these beautiful baths and then don't use them, but that's just a personal issue. So bathtubs come in a variety of materials as well. Acrylic is very popular. It's lightweight, durable, and very affordable. Fiberglass, or FRP, is less expensive than acrylic, but also less durable. This is the tub I would buy if I didn't use it very often. There's enameled cast iron. This is that vintage clawfoot soaker tub. It's built to last forever, literally. My husband's grandpa remodeled their house 70 years ago and threw his enameled cast iron farmhouse sink into a grove and never thought about it again. We dug it out 10 years ago, continued to leave it outside, and then installed it into our kitchen remodel a few years ago. It took some aggressive scrubbing and scouring sticks, but it is like new and humming along in its second life like it never skipped a beat. The biggest downside is their weight. Make sure your floor can handle it, especially if it's not on the ground level. You can also get tubs in other materials as well. Cultured marble, granite, concrete, wood, metal, solid surface. These range in prices and durability, but if you are looking for something unique, that might be what you're looking into. No matter your choice, whether you're buying your bathtub from a showroom or online, I highly recommend seeing something similar in real life. See what the different materials feel like. You don't need to see the exact bathtub you're buying. Just find one that is the same material and make sure that you like the feel of it. Find one that is a similar size, the length and depth. Sit in it. Make sure you are comfortable. You want this tub to fit you like a glove, so channel your inner Goldilocks. Let's talk more about those bathroom material choices. All of my advice is the same from before, but because it's a bathroom, I do have a few notes. Flooring. Predominantly, people install tile in the bathroom. It holds up against moisture and is easy to clean. It can be slippery, so always get a floor tile that has some sort of texture. Wall tiles can be totally smooth, but not the floor. Any floor tile can be a wall tile, but not the other way around. Make sure the proper underlayment system is used when installing tile. Water can still migrate through the grout or any cracks in the tile. I prefer the Curdy system from Schluter. Your installer might use something else, but just make sure there is some sort of waterproof membrane installed before the tile goes down. And if you are installing tile, you can also install a heating element underneath so you have nice cozy floor for your bare tootsies. Laminate flooring can be used in the bathroom. Standing water and steam will be the biggest issue here, so make sure you have proper ventilation system and that you are careful not to leave pools of water sitting around. Some flooring products claim to be more water resistant than others, or that the install might allow water to dry better. This is a discussion to have at the showroom and with your installer. It is quite common to have a finished basement in parts of the US. For the most part, it's exactly the same as the rest of your house, with a few exceptions. The ceiling. Throughout the main floor and any upper levels you have, your ceilings will probably be drywall, but the basement is not always so. Acoustic ceiling tiles, like you see in a lot of commercial applications, can be installed. This gives access to plumbing or electrical should they need to be repaired down the road. Or if there is a water leak, you can repair the affected tiles and not the whole ceiling. Your subcontractors will recommend this because it makes their lives easier and could save you later down the road. If that is your main concern, then this route is fine. There are different levels of acoustic tile. It doesn't need to be that ugly fleck tile in your old elementary school. There are different edge profiles, and whether you see the track or not, there's different colors and different finishes. Armstrong ceiling is a great place to start looking at what is possible. Personally, I think this gives a commercial feel to the space and is not entirely necessary. As long as there is access near the kitchen or bathroom, you don't need the entire ceiling to be removable. Maybe it's in a closet, maybe it's just one room or an accent area. Flooring. You can use all the same flooring options as stated above in the basement, with the bonus option that all basement floors start off as concrete, and you can just stop there. As I mentioned before, I love the look of an acid stain or polished floor, and bonus, if you ever have water in your basement, this flooring will hold up. You can also have this floor heated. A heated floor will heat the entire basement and rise up through the rest of your house as well, taking a lot of the pressure off of your main furnace system. And wow, we are done with the basement. And that's the end of the material dive.